Hi everyone and welcome to Good for the Game TV and this short preview on Sydney Sevens. We're going to take a look at the outright betting and also some of the day one action. Before you do anything else, go to the bottom of this video, make sure you subscribe to our channel. Don't miss any of our betting videos going forward. Well, pleased to announce that I've got Mr. Sevens himself with me, joining me on the line. It's Sean Nicholas, aka Rugger Bugger in the Good for the Game forum. Sean, how are you? You recovered from your excerpts at the Met?
Yes, yeah. How's it, everyone? Yeah, thanks for those. Those Met tickets are great. GG Gaming, you champions. Yeah, quite a cool experience at the Met. Different to the Summer Cup, different vibe, different everything. But it was really cool. And lucky, I was on Rainbow Bridge for the main race, so that was quite cool. But yeah, certainly recovered now. Got to get some more money in the wallet because that's a bit dented after the weekend.
Excellent. Well, let's move on straight into the betting then, Sean. I'm going to go into World Sports betting sites initially and have a look at some of the outright markets here. We've got Fiji trading at 17 to 20, New Zealand 47 to 20, USA 61, South Africa 17 to 2, and then you can get sort of better than 10 to 1 the balance. What are your thoughts here? We got Australia as defending champions. I recall our good friend Oracle Rugby tipping them last year at somewhere around the 16 or 20 to 1 mark. They are a bit shorter this time in the defense. Any value there?
I think the value is definitely Australia. Saying what's look what the Oracle did last year. The same sort of theories. If you're going to go value, Australia is definitely the value play. Fiji are tough to beat. I mean, I don't see any weaknesses in their side. They've got pace. They've got power. They almost know what each other are doing. There's always a guy on either side of them. They're at the prime of their sevens now. They're impossible to beat unless and in saying that though, Australia were close to beating them in Hamilton. So looking at that, Australia home ground advantage. They've got SA in their group, so they should, depending on what happens in that game 1 and 2, that'll determine how the rest of theirs pans out. If they beat South Africa, just looking at it, then they could get. If they beat South Africa in the pools, then they'll set up for a Fiji Australia final. The way I've worked it out, so that all depends on that game. If they lose South Africa in the pool matches, then they're gonna probably play Fiji, I think, first up or second. So yeah, they play them in the quarterfinal in the cup. So that's a massive game. So I think that they could beat South Africa just based on what we saw last week. So the value is definitely on Australia to win the outright there.
Excellent. Well, let's have a look. Then I'm pleased you raised that. I want to pop across to Bet Exchange's site because I saw a price I like here, Sean. And that's the Group D winner betting. We've got South Africa, the Blitzbox, who I think you and I both agree are probably worth opposing at the moment. They just don't have the players. They don't perhaps have the speed they need. They're 7 to 10 to win the group. And you've got the home team, Australia, at 15 to 10. Obviously, Argentina and Tonga, who are no hopers. Argentina capable of probably upsetting either of those sides and ruining bets potentially. But I think Australia are cracking price at 15 to 10 to win the group.
Yeah, definitely. I'm just looking at the South Africa. I mean, what you say there, they are a good time to oppose them. Something's lacking. We're missing Sinatla, Kwagga Smith. It's just Carl Brown's looking a bit long in the tooth. We're missing something. We're going through that transition phase. We've got no pace out wide. Where in last season, if we got the ball on the halfway line, gave it to someone, it would be a try. But we don't have that luxury this year. And it's just I think we're playing. The guys are trying to find their feet, and it's almost like a transition phase where they're trying to see what works for them now. Their game plans. They can't do what they did last year because they don't have the players, so they really don't have much going for them. And I think 15 to 10 Australia. I think Australia should beat us quite easily on that first day, especially with the home crowd behind them. Looking at how close Australia pushed Fiji, using that as the benchmark. I mean, Australia should beat us. So if you're getting 15 to 10 on that, effectively, that's a cracking price.
Yeah, it certainly is a good price. I guess, as you say, Argentina, the only potential spanners in the works there. Let's go to some of the matches. Sean, have you had an opportunity to look at some of the games?
Yeah, I see some of them. One that's quite interesting is Kenya against Canada. It's first up. I think I don't know which site you're on, WSB or.
Yeah, let's go on to WSB because their matches. It's quite easy to sort of see the games. I'll bring those up. Canada versus Kenya, you got 13 to 10 Kenya, and the handicap here is set at 2.5, minus 2.5 Canada, even money.
Yeah, so that handicap, I mean, if you like Kenya, which I got Kenya wrong last week. I mean, I thought they were going to get absolutely annihilated. Their side they actually played quite well. They played it with a lot of heart, had some good results last week. Got unstuck against England, but in their final. but I wouldn't expect them to get there. So I mean, if you do fancy Kenya, that's a good price, 13 to 10. I think Bet Exchange has got them 9 to 10 the pair. So I mean, that's a good value on Kenya if you do fancy them. But that's again, it's a proper 50-50. So yeah, it's a good one. Just depends on which Kenyan team is going to go there. I'm going to say that I think the Kenyans will sneak that. So I think 13 to 10, quite a good one.
13 to 10. Well, good to see you able to change your mind. And you were opposing Kenya, and you made some good money out of them in the first couple of tournaments, Sean. But you've sort of seen a turnaround there, and you're prepared to change your betting strategy. So that's certainly good to see. So Kenya at 13 to 10. Anything else catch the eye?
Just on that, the South Africa against Tonga, I think it's 25.5 on the Tonga handicap.
Yes.
That just seems a bit high. Tonga, basically the invitational side, they're quite tough. If they keep their discipline and don't get any yellow cards, I think they could keep it within that. So I don't think, as I said earlier, I don't think South Africa can score 4 tries at will like they used to. So they're basically looking at that's 3-4 tries with conversions. That's quite a lot. So I just want to say, and I don't have any head-to-head history with Tonga and South Africa, but just looking last week, the most South Africa won, we beat Scotland by 19. That was our biggest margin of victory. As well, we beat Kenya by 19. So we never bridged that 25 gap. So and then looking at Tonga, they did lose. They never lost more than 24. They lost to England 36-7. So that is what, 29. So that's the only time that they bridged that gap.
Sean, I like your thinking there, because I know this first game last week, I think it was against Kenya, they were 24-point favourites, backed into about 28-point favourites. And although they won fairly comfortably in the end, I think you said 19 points, they also never looked like a side that was really stepping on the gas. When they get ahead, they tend to slow the game down quite a bit. So all it probably takes here is Tonga to get 1 score, and you're most likely in on the handicap here.
Yeah, also it could be like that, it's knock-ons. It's the first day. It's, you could be a bit rusty. It's the first day or the first game of the back-to-back tournament. So it's always, the body's not as fit and sharp as it was last weekend. There are some bumps and bruises, and the guys, that early game is not, the crowd's on in yet. It's not really a big test. It's Tonga, they will win the game. So, you could get 2 minutes where there's no tries. And I mean, that just, then you're good for the handicap. So from just looking at that, I think it's a good one. And then just on the other ones quickly.
What about Samoa there, Sean? They're a team that I've been following quite closely. They've done quite well for me in the last couple of tournaments. They seem to be coming to hand against the England side that's struggling. 17 to 10, maybe worth a bet?
Yeah, the England mentality. I mean, there was a shock defeat to Samoa. Samoa did very well. I mean, they're a good side. They on their day, they can put it. If they string a good 14 minutes together, they could beat anyone. They could even go toe to toe with Fiji. So, but I just think the mentality of England, it's -5. They cannot. They lost to Samoa last week, and then they knocked them into the plate. So they can't have that again. They're in a tough pool with Samoa, and I think New Zealand are the other team in their pool. So it's a tough pool to get. Oh, sorry, Samoa and Fiji they've got in their pool. So they can't afford any slip-ups if they want to get to the cup quarters. Just their mentality. I think that they would be circling this match to go. It's almost like a mini final for them. Because if they lose this, then their tournament's out, and they're in the plates the next day. So a tough one for me. Good value on Samoa, but I'm worried about England's mentality, knowing that Samoa knocked them out last week. They could be gunning for them, a bit of a revenge factor there.
Right, and anything else catch your eye in round 1?
Just skimming through it, there's quite big handicaps. I think Fiji and New Zealand on the handicaps just as a double. I think they're both massive handicaps, but it's New Zealand always seems to beat Wales. Well, Wales have gone backwards. It's actually hard to think that they won the World Cup 7's a couple years ago. They look terrible. And Japan as well, mind you, Fiji, Japan's -40, that's a little high. I think New Zealand -30 against Wales, I think that's the best one opening up.
Excellent. Yeah, no, Wales last week, I think they played against Fiji, and I mean, they were about 40 points down in the first half. It was an absolute disgrace, just falling off tackles all over the place. Well, that's it. I guess it's one of those tournaments where we don't watch as much as we might like, Sean, because of the time. I mean, things get going around about midnight South African time. I did stay up a bit last week in Hamilton, to my cost, I must tell you. But I don't think I'll be watching too much, but certainly keeping an eye on the Good for the Game forum and your post, anything you spot maybe in the other rounds there?
Yeah, I think if you got, because the game starts at midnight, as you say, you got the last 8 games kick off at 8. You know, so you've got 8 till 12. You've got some good value there, and then you've got some good games. You've got Fiji against England, New Zealand against Scotland should be good. South Africa, Australia. And also Fiji tomorrow is the last game. So the second last game is well, actually, if you get up early enough, you get from 6 o'clock. There's games. So I mean, it's just how early you wake up. But there's value. I mean, yeah, log in early and see. I'm sure if we find some value out there, we're definitely going to post it on the forum.
And I know you got young kids, so you are up early on the weekends, unlike
exactly.
Some
so the first time I won't complain, but it's just balancing their sports. You know,
yeah,
sports
exactly.
out.
I'm watching water polo all weekend. I can tell you, my son's played a tournament, my daughter's got a match. But anyway, Sean, it's going to be great. Thanks very much for hooking up. We'll see how if time permits. We can always get together for a quick preview of the second group of matches that'll be taking place sort of late Saturday, early Sunday, South African time. But thanks a lot. Good punting, and I think we're in agreement that Australia 15-10 to win the group, and then maybe in the early round, Kenya to win a 13-10 over Canada. Yeah,
let's back the Aussies. Hate saying it, but I think they're value this week.
Excellent. Remember to subscribe to the channel, and we'll also put the link to this week's handicap show, which has a look at all the Six Nations betting coming up this weekend. Thanks everyone for watching, and we'll see you for some form of preview on day 2 of the Sydney 7.